Okay, so today we'll do a live review of the Alberta Premium Cask Strength Rye Whiskey batch number 5. So Alberta Premium is a Suntory Global Spirits product, as we learned from the Owl Suntory World Whiskey. This is owned by what used to be Beam Suntory, that is Suntory Global Spirits now. And they also own some other stuff you probably have heard of, like Jim Beam and Maker's Mark and Bamore and Lafroig and Canadian Club, and it's a sizable brand. This is Canadian rye whiskey, 100% rye here, 100% Canadian Prairie rye, 64.2% ABV or 128.4 proof, non-chill filtered, natural color. It is a hot sucker. And it is aged roughly 5 years in number 4 New Charred Oak, and number 4 Char Ex Bourbon from Jim Beam, and also Refill Ex Bourbon. So my understanding is there's some mix of number 4 New Charred Oak, number 4 Ex Bourbon, Ex Jim Beam, which would make sense. It's within the company. And some amount of Refill Ex Bourbon. So there's a mix of new cask, Ex Bourbon cask, and Refill bourbon casks going on here. Roughly 5 years of age at cask strength. It's not single barrel, so it's not like it's a single barrel at this proof. It's a batch number 5 to be specific. And they were releasing one of these every year, I thought, but now in the year 2024, I have not seen a new batch. It seems like the only batches around are the 2023 batch, which is this one, batch 5. So I don't know if they're releasing this every year or not or what, but it seems like there isn't a new batch. So this is the latest batch I'm aware of. If there is a batch 6, I have never seen it. So we will assess this in the way that we always do. We'll give it a 100 point total, 25 for aroma, 25 for palate, 25 for finish, 10 for texture, and 15 for my personal experience. We get no pop with this one because it's a screw top. It's a screw top. And of course, this is sort of your rocket fuel tier Alberta Premium. There used to be a 20-year-old Alberta Premium around. I think there was also a 25-year-old Alberta Premium that weren't at cask strength, but I haven't seen those in forever and ever. So I don't know really what their release schedule looks like over there. I guess it's just limited release stuff, and then they have just the buck standard Alberta Premium all the time. I'm assuming that's what happens over there. Oh, let's get you moving. All right. Without blowing my camera or my boom arm up. All right, so this is natural color for 100% rye whiskey mix of New Charred Oak, Ex Bourbon, and Refill Bourbon. But I think it's only about 5 years of age, so it's pretty reasonable. It's a pretty reasonable color for a Canadian age, I suppose. Definitely seen lighter whiskeys on an older age statement. The glass coating character of this is like quite thick, though. Even just right away, probably can't see on the camera, but there's like all kinds of legs clumping up like right there, but you probably can't see that. Maybe just if I move the glass, you'll kind of see like them refracting a little bit, but it is coming on thick. And of course, it is a very high proof. So we have to steel ourselves a little bit for that heat. I'm about to turn up the heat. But we also have to rest that for a hot minute. I'll probably rest that for long enough that, hey, maybe we'll just consult the book. Maybe we'll see what's in the book. Out of all curiosity, maybe we'll just see if there's anything in the book. While we give that some time to chill out of its cask strength nature. I like how, like, 75% of this book is Scotch. To get out of the Scotch section, we gotta go to the back. I'm sure that says something about the state of whiskey. Alberta Distillers, they got a picture of a different cask strength edition here. Nothing too super interesting in here. Found in 1946. That's some time ago. When the distillery was built in 1946 on Calgary's Ragged Fringe, rye was the most common local grain, and the plant was designed specifically to process it. Alberta distillers use plain unmalted rye only. Unmalted rye, so this must be 100% unmalted rye. So they must use enzymes. Using the distillery's own grown enzymes, got ahead of myself, I guess, to break down cell walls, carbohydrates, and the sticky beta-glucans. While distilling rye grains is messy enough that other distillers will often shut down the plant for a thorough cleaning afterwards, making rye is routine here. This is one of the reasons why the distillery can bottle nearly 3 times as much high rye whiskey as every other distillery in North America combined. Yeah, we're pumping the rye out over here. It's also very commonly sourced rye. A lot of sourced American ryes are actually Alberta distillers. One of the most notable ones is a lot of Whistle Pig. A lot of Whistle Pig is actually Alberta distillers. And even when you go look on Whiskey Base under Alberta distillers, there's a bunch of Whistle Pigs listed. All right. Let's see what we can get here. There's definitely all the sweetnesses right up front. Like a toffee, caramel, butterscotch is in there. Some higher herbal rye spicy notes are in there too. You get some of that dill. There's like almost like a woody, sappy sort of note. There's definitely a note coming across to me that's like tree sap. Maybe in like the pine realm. But I like that note. I like that note tree sap. Some baking spices in there. Actually pretty noticeable for a proof this high. Sometimes with these cask strength spirits, it can be a bit of a fight to get through some of the alcohol, but it's actually pretty reasonable to get into this thing. Maybe somewhat of a vanilla character. I think that's a good like start on the assessment here. Toffee, caramel, butterscotch, some vanilla, some herbal rye sort of notes like dill, like a tree sap kind of note. Nothing really in the fruit realm though. If you wanted to say something like leather, you probably wouldn't be wrong. All right. So let's steel ourselves for this this high proof sip we're about to hit here. Cheers. Ooh. That's some heat. Oh, it is drying. That first hit is so drying. Whew. Man, that is so drying. I feel like all the moisture got sucked out of my mouth. There's something in the finish right now that's kind of like banana, though. It's kind of interesting. It did seem like there was kind of like a banana fruit aspect in the finish there somewhere. It's definitely sweet on the palate. You definitely get some of that rye grain. Some spiciness in there. But we'll get some more here in a minute. The same on the nose. The arrival is not terribly strong. It's kind of simple. Out the gate, it's kind of simple on the palate. You do get some of that rich toffee, some of that caramel complexity, not complexity, caramel sweetness, like a compounding of sweetnesses, like that butterscotch toffee caramel. That's all kind of in there on the palate. Still a little bit drying on the mouth. Definitely like a baking spice note leads into the finish where you kind of get some of that, more of that baking spice character. Definitely a chocolate lingers here. A dark chocolate definitely rides out. There's a very strong punch intensity of flavors, but there's not a whole lot of flavors presenting themselves to me right this second. It's kind of just all the sweetnesses on the palate, all the like chocolate and spices on the finish. Maybe a little bit of a like a banana thing on the finish too. It's kind of like a banana thing going on there. some kind of nose note here that kind of reminds me of like just being in an evergreen forest. That's kind of a weird one, but outside amongst the trees. It's not like straight up pine, but it's like pine in the open air or something like that. Something odd like that. It's like not like a pine board, but like just having lots of pine trees around. Like a walk in the woods. Nose is pretty nice. Sometimes you step away, get back in, get some of that rye grain, get a little bit of breadiness. We're kind of acclimating to those sweet notes now. We're kind of digging into the bottom here. Oh, one of the best chocolate notes I think I've gotten on a finish. What do we call the length of finish here? We're still going. We're gonna call it long. We'll call the finish long. It's like still in there. There's definitely a few layers of sweetness on the palate. Then you get a little bit of that baking spice hit, and then again, just like that spicy chocolate finish. You get a little bit of like kind of banana fruit way at the back. Um, Here's like fringes of some of that herbal kind of rye spice character in the finish too. Not a whole lot of it on the palate. The finish is like really tasty though. A lot of times you do get that kind of a chocolate essence on the finish of whiskeys, but this one is so concentrated. Don't know about the palate. The palate's the place where I'm kind of like, eh, it's a sweet thing. This glass on this day is not wowing me on the palate. A little better. Huh. Some kind of interesting character on the palate there that I'm trying to like pick at. It almost feels like it's almost like a zesty note, or like a orange chocolate, Terry's chocolate orange kind of note. Almost feels a little citrus, but it doesn't sound quite right. I'm gonna give that a little bit more time there. I feel like we're cracking into the palate though. Finish is great. There's something in there. There's something in the palate that's kind of wonky. We're kind of capped out on the nose here. What is that? You definitely get that toffee caramel
He's
butterscotch
about
thing.
to pop.
But there's something in the palate that's kind of a little different. We're trying to puzzle it. Mr. Thor, how's it going? We're analyzing this Alberta Premium Cask Strength rye whiskey. This is a 100% rye whiskey out of Alberta Distillers. I'm trying to get there's something in the palate. I can't quite hit it. We want to give it plenty of time to acclimate. There is kind of a banana thing whispering in the finish, and I'm wondering if it's some kind of like fruit tickle in the palate that I'm just not. It kind of comes across a little citrusy. That just doesn't sound right. Could be citrusy. Some kind of like, again, like Terry's chocolate orange sort of citrusy thing. Spin me right round, baby, right round. Cabbage and banana. No, I mean, banana is for me is a Jack Daniels note. There is a kind of a Jack Daniels banana sort of note in the finish of this at the back of it. Cabbage, I don't think so. But we might just not get there. That's okay. There is nondescript kind of citrus note in the palate. It's like caramel, butterscotch, toffee, kind of rye grain, spiciness, and something. but you only get it sometimes. It's like I'm getting these sips, and it's like it's not in there. And other sips, I'm getting some kind of like citrusy sort of thing kind of in there. So we'll just call it a citrus note, I think, and it only happens sometimes. What's the proof? Uh, this is a 64.2% alcohol, or 128.4. So rocket fuel. You could probably put this in your car. It might work. All right, so out of 25, let's talk about the aroma. I'm kind of at the back of the aroma now. We kind of like acclimated to all the different notes. We have the like caramel, toffee, butterscotch up front. Some of that like herbal, dill sort of note. Have like a tree sap character. Again, I think we gave a note that was like standing in an evergreen forest. Got some rye grain in there. It's about as good as we get with that. Um, Give it a 20. 20 out of 25 on aroma. Fabulous. A fabulous aroma. All right, on the palate. Let's see what we can get out of here. Yeah, you have some of that like toffee character, that sweet character right up front. In this particular sip, I kind of got like that fruity thing. It's kind of like that banana thing that lingers on the finish. I think it's in there on the palate a little bit. A little bit of this like kind of like woody banana note. Maybe a little bit of like a Terry's chocolate orange, like chocolate citrusy thing. But there's some baking spices in there. I'm talking myself into it. Give the palate 18. 18 out of 25. Good expression of flavors. The palate's a little different every time you go into it. All right, so let's talk about the finish. So finish kind of starts off with that like baking spice character into like a dark chocolate sort of note. When that lingers, and then near the end you get a little bit of that banana fruit kind of character. Some baking spice right at the gate. Got some butterscotch in there. We get hit with a dark, concentrated chocolate note. A little bit woody. Rides out pretty long. And then near the back here, you kind of get some kind of like Jack Daniels-y banana sort of thing. There's also like kind of like a popsicle stick kind of wood note. Like a dry sucked popsicle stick kind of wood note. Still going. Let me give the finish 21. All right. Out of 10 points, let's talk about the texture. Trying to give my mouth some time to adjust. There's some numbing going on. Mostly in the cheeks. The tongue's okay, but there's some numbing in the cheeks. The dentist missed and hit me in the cheek. It's a thick, luscious mouthfeel. Hits everywhere. Give a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10 on texture. If the texture of all whiskeys were like this, So out of 15, let's talk about my experience with this particular whiskey. You know, this is just rye firing on all cylinders. I feel like you get such a strong impact of all the flavors you come to expect. There's a little bit of kind of like fringy wild notes going on here too. So there's some kind of like fruity weird citrus thing in there that I'm getting on the palate on the back of the finish that I kind of like wouldn't immediately expect. There's some nice notes on the nose that kind of like are hard to place, a little bit different. That being said, there's nothing like truly wild going on here. There's not like, we're not throwing any wild curveballs or making anything like super exciting. It is sort of all roughly in the realm of what you'd expect to come out of a rye whiskey, except for like the kind of the weird fruitiness that is kind of interesting to me. That being said, it is a little hot. It's a little drying. You might be the kind of person who would like some water with this, maybe an ice cube. But we just tanked it. What do I call this? I'm going to call it 12 out of 10. 12 out of 15, I mean 12 out of 10. 12 out of 15, a standout experience. So 20 and 18 and 21 and 9 and 12 is 80 points. 80 out of 100. That's a wild score. We'll call this this is an excellent whiskey.